My name is Zhao Qi. I come from Dongzhimen Hospital, Beijing University of Chinese Medicine. I'm also the co-director of Australian China Chinese Medicine Center. Okay, please let me share my screen. I'm very glad to have a chance to introduce acupuncture and moxibustion. Today's lecture includes 2 parts, each part about 14 minutes. Let's look at the contents of today's lectures. At the beginning, I will tell you a story of reporter James Reston, and then I will introduce ancient and modern types of needles. Then, how does acupuncture work? What is moxibustion? And then I will introduce clinical applications of moxibustion. Finally, I will introduce other therapies related to acupuncture. Now I will tell you a story of reporter James Reston. James Reston was a highly distinguished senior reporter of the New York Times. He came to China in 1971 to report exclusively about the visit of Henry Kissinger, at that time National Security Advisor of the United States. Henry Kissinger was invited by the Chinese government to prepare the probably coming visit of United States President Nixon in 1972. At that time, Henry Kissinger didn't want to meet the press because the subject about the visit of President Nixon to China was too delicate, and James Reston was a victim. Though he asked the Chinese government many times to report this important interview, the Chinese officer took him to visit Guangzhou and delayed his time to go to Beijing. When he finally arrived in Beijing, he suddenly heard from a Chinese officer that China and the US had already made an agreement on the visit of President Nixon to China next year. He was blocked from all information. James Reston realized that he probably would lose a chance to report the most important news of the 20th century, so he began worry about his situation, and at that night he felt very bad. The Chinese government paid close attention to James Reston's health and took him to the Peking Union Medical College Hospital. It is the best hospital in China. With high fever and stabbing pain in the abdomen, he was diagnosed as acute appendicitis. Because the disease was already at a life-threatening stage, the doctors made an operation for him immediately. The following day, James Reston got rid of the stabbing pain and the fever, but he felt instead a distension pain, uncomfortable, as if he ate much too much. In TCM theory, it's because of qi stagnation. The doctors asked for his permission to apply acupuncture and moxibustion. James Reston wrote an article. Now let me tell you about my appendectomy in Peking. It is reported on July 26, 1971 in New York Times. Let's look at here. With my approval, Dr. Li Changyuan inserted 3 long thin needles into the outer part of my right elbow and below my knees, and manipulated them in order to stimulate the intestines to relieve pressure and distension of my stomach. Dr. Li laid 2 pieces of an herb called ai, which looked like the burning stumps of a broken cheap cigar, and held them close to my abdomen while occasionally twirling the needles. All this took about 20 minutes, during which I remember thinking that it was rather a complicated way to get rid of gas on the stomach, but there was a noticeable relaxation of the pressure and distension within an hour, and no recurrence of the problem thereafter. As you see on this picture, please pay attention. It's on the front page. Above that, it reported Apollo 15 succeeded landing on the moon. The editor of New York Times made the same important value of these 2 news. Though James Reston lost the chance to report the interview of Henry Kissinger with Chinese government, his article shocked Americans so much, and they began to know acupuncture, and lots of Americans tried to take acupuncture treatment from that time until today. Many celebrities took the acupuncture treatment, and popular magazines such as Newsweek, People, Time reported this ancient traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, then what is acupuncture and moxibustion? In Chinese, it is called 针灸. 针 means needling or acupuncture. 灸 means moxibustion or heating with mox. The earliest acupuncture devices were made of stone. They were used to press on acupuncture points but not pierce the skin. The oldest acupuncture needle found date to AD 600. These needles were made of bronze, copper, zinc, gold, and silver. In the 4th century AD, China began using steel. Once steel was discovered, it became the most favorable material for crafting acupuncture needles because it is both very strong and can be used to make very thin needles. In the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine, one of the original Chinese medicine textbooks, 9 needles are mentioned as being used of acupuncture treatments. Each one had a different tape and a precise length and width. Just in these pictures, it is called 缠针, 圆针, 滴针, 分针, 匪针, 圆力针, 毫针, 长针, and 火针. Then, today, the most commonly used needles in acupuncture department include filiform needle, tube needle, 3-edged needle, cutaneous needle, intradermal needle, fire needle, and ear needle. Filiform needle. The most commonly used needle is a mantle filiform needle that is made from stainless steel. Very occasionally, silver or gold needles are used. Acupuncture needles come in different diameter and lengths to be used on the different areas of the body where they are to be inserted. The needles used nowadays are mostly very fine. They vary from 0.1 mm to 0.4 mm in diameter, from 10 mm to 120 mm in length. If we compare it with a match, this one is 40 mm and frequently used in acupuncture department. And these small ones are often used in ears. Tube needle. In the 17th century, a Japanese acupuncturist, a famous blind Japanese acupuncturist, invented the guide tube, which resulted in the development of much fine needles. And tube needles are frequently used out of China, especially in North America, Europe, and Australia. It resolved the most important problem, that is pain. Put the needles penetrating the skin normally have a very little pain. And after the tube needle was invented, it totally solved the pain problem when the needles penetrating the skin. 3-edged needle. This is a thick needle with a round handle and a triangle body and a very sharp tip. It looks like a lens. The 3-edged needle is used to puncturing blood vessels for the purpose of bloodletting. It is often used to treat blockage of the meridians, blood stasis, too much heat in the body, such as high fever, loss of consciousness, sore throat, local congestion, or swelling. Cutaneous needle, also called 7-star needle, plum blossom needle, or dermal needle. It is actually a group of 7 filiform needles arranged together in the shape of a flower and attached like a hammerhead to a long handle. The handle is often flexible. The needling is done by tapping the needles on the skin lightly and swiftly. It is effective for releasing heat, increasing blood circulation, and reducing scar from acne. Intradermal needle. These are very thin, very short needles that are used on specific points, often the ears, inserted to a very shallow depth in the skin, 1 to 3 mm. These needles are left in place and covered with waterproof tape. They are often used to treat chronic pain and addictions. Fire needle. Using fire to heat the needles till it is red, then quickly inserted into an acupuncture point. It is suitable to treat cold or pain symptoms. Ear needle. Small filiform needles or intradermal needles can be used for ear acupuncture or called auricular acupuncture. This is a type of auricular therapy which describes many acupressure or acupuncture treatment that's limited to your ears. It is effective for chronic pain, migraine, anxiety, insomnia, depression, and allergies. Acupuncture is just one part of traditional Chinese medicine, which is based on the concept of an energy flow through the body called qi. This energy is circulated through the body via several main energy pathways called meridians. Each one of these pathways of channels is thought to be linked to an internal organ. It is believed that if this flow of energy is blocked, imbalance occur, which in turn lead to health problems. This block in the energy flow can be cleared away with insertion of acupuncture needles at special acupuncture points along the meridians. When the needles are applied to the points, the organ functions is stimulated. In TCM theory, the system of meridians and acupoints include 12 regular meridians, 8 extra meridians, 15 collaterals, 361 meridian points, and many extra points. It is a network of our body for transporting nutrition, energy, manifesting disease, and also as receptors of needling and moxibustion and other manipulations. Qi flow into meridians just like water flows into a channel system. If we have too much qi in the body, we will feel distension pain, just like too much water in the channel will flow out and lead to disaster. For channels, we need to control the height of water by water gates. For meridians, we can regulate qi from acupoints, just like water gates.